The Last Voyage of the Revenant. From the Journal of Clayton Everett Sipes, first mate of the airship Revenant. January 5th, 2521. After nearly 3 weeks in Halifax, we are finally shipping out. Not that I am unhappy to be home in Nova Scotia once again, but I prefer to spend my time airborne, and I have always found the time between voyages monotonous, no matter what the port. Captain Bromberg has secured a voyage charter to Fairbanks, Alaska, to leave tomorrow morning. He has explained to me that the charter was signed last week, but due to the delicate nature of the cargo, the charterer insisted upon personally organizing its arrangement within the ship's hold, hence our delayed departure. The owner of the cargo is a doctor of anatomy by the name of Norris M. Sutcliffe. The doctor is apparently engaged in research that requires a more consistent climate, and has thus chosen to relocate. As the doctor is a man of means, it is odd that he would employ a humble tramp freighter such as ours instead of one of the larger commercial lines, but Captain Bromberg informs me that Dr. Sutcliffe is relying upon our discretion and paying extra for it. The cargo we are to carry is the doctor's extensive laboratory apparatus and the more obtrusive items of his luggage. Sutcliffe has already departed for Fairbanks to settle into his new living accommodations. We are to meet him on Thursday upon our arrival. Additionally, Captain Bromberg informs me that we will be taking on a passenger for the voyage. I am slightly unsettled by this notion, as we have never done so before. The captain shares my concerns, and in fact suggested that the man patronize an actual passenger craft, but the odd fellow was quite insistent upon voyaging with the Revenant, and offered a sizable amount to be taken on board. Sizable enough indeed for Captain Bromberg to excuse the man's eccentricity and accept his traffic. Business has been slow of late. Rather, it has been slow ever since the wreck last summer. It seems that not many people are eager to charter a vessel that has been twice salvaged and put back together again. Personally, I think our business was just fine after the first wreck, when the ship was still called the Surger, but Bromberg's decision to rename it the Revenant after its second miraculous resurrection went to waste to divert potential customers. In light of our extended dry spell, this new charter, and even the eccentric passenger, are a godsend. We begin loading Dr. Sutcliffe's equipment and luggage this evening. Our passenger will join us in the morning upon our departure. January 6th, 2521, 2 p.m. The cargo was loaded with relative ease, though the captain had to issue 1 or 2 stern reminders to the men to handle it with particular care. Sutcliffe's equipment had been packed in standard wooden crates, and the doctor had left strict and specific instructions on how it was to be loaded and stored. He had also allowed us permission to open the crates to check the condition of their contents for possible damage or disturbance. There are 3 long operating tables, several large teleautomatic surgical arms and similar machines, boxes upon boxes of smaller surgical instruments, 2 pressurized canisters of diethyl ether, many biological specimens preserved in formaldehyde, tin and ceramic washing basins, lengths of rubber hosing, and of course the doctor's personal luggage, clothing, furniture, his notebooks, and rather voluminous library, all loaded without incident. In addition, Sutcliffe has paid extra for the captain to store a handful of his more valuable possessions in Bromberg's own cabin. These items he and I loaded on our own. They are the doctor's collection of skulls, 1 or 2 framed paintings, 4 small pressurized gas canisters, each labeled West 81%, I assume some rare or expensive chemical solution, and a large bronze lockbox. Bromberg has decided not to inform the crew about the existence of these items, a decision that I find unnecessary, as it is hardly diamonds and rum he's keeping under lock and key. The crew is equally happy to be shipping off again. Scott and O'Grady complained that they would have preferred a warmer destination, but they always find something or other to grumble about. On the whole, morale is high. Bergeron even brought a keg of lager to celebrate the new charter. Mickelson is especially pleased that we are bound for Fairbanks, as he has a sister who lives there. He's already sent her a wireless, telling her to expect us, and is eager to cast off. Our passenger made his entrance slightly later than he was expected to. It turns out that my expectations of this man's eccentricity were greatly underestimated. At 20 minutes after 8, a man in a brown greatcoat and a ludicrous top hat strode, or rather, rode, onto the ether docks on a unicycle while carrying a large brass and wooden trunk on his back. Waving to Captain Bromberg, the ridiculous man rode up the gangway onto the Revenant's deck, dismounted his unicycle, and tossed it overboard. He greeted the captain with a presumptuous slap on the shoulder, referring to him as Wilfie, and then turned to me. He took my hand in both of his and shook vigorously, introducing himself as Edward von Arkham, and saying that he was pleased as a puffin to make my acquaintance. He is undoubtedly one of the strangest-looking people I have ever seen in my life. His hair and beard are tangled and unkempt. I could not see his eyes behind the pair of perplexing brass goggles he was wearing, but I can assume that they were as manic as his grin. His hat is by far the most bizarre of his peculiarities. There is a brass chimney on the side of its tower, and a ticking clockwork movement on its front. The entire thing must house some sort of singular mechanical contrivance, but of what form or function I cannot conceive. I have a suspicion that it serves no practical function at all, and is merely an elaborate accessory, or that its purpose is a figment of the madman's imagination. He has not deigned to explain his presence in Halifax, nor his reason for wanting to fly aboard the Revenant, nor his business in Fairbanks, nor his occupation. The captain has prepared a cot for him in steerage, to which he retired immediately after distributing small paper bags of peanuts to every member of the crew. He is an enigma, to be sure, but a well-paying enigma, and hopefully he will keep out of our way. The skies are clear to the horizon today, and we have a favorable wind at the moment. We'll be fighting the prevailing westerlies in a day or so, but the Revenant's engines are strong enough to run against them. Barring any bad fortune, we should reach Fairbanks by Thursday as scheduled. But, having been mate of this boat, twice wrecked and salvaged, I've come to expect bad fortune. If nothing else, it leaves me pleasantly surprised when things go smoothly. January 7th, 2521, 7 p.m. Sailing over northern Manitoba at 10,000 feet. We've stayed on course thus far, but now we've had to alter our heading. The westerly against us is blowing at 35 knots, and Mickelson can't keep us steady enough to continue at our current bearing. The airbag was beginning to ruffle rather biliously, and I was beginning to fear an imminent puncture, so I did not question Bromberg's order, however out of the way it may take us. We are now flying at 61 degrees north by northwest. This new course will bring us as far north as the Great Bear Lake, where we hope conditions will be favorable enough for us to resume a predominantly westward heading. If all goes well, God willing, we should make Fairbanks early on Friday. LeBaron wired ahead to inform Dr. Sutcliffe of this alteration, and the doctor replied in support of the captain's decision. The men are not as bothered as I thought they would be by the detour, most likely because the last time we made port we didn't ship off for more than a fortnight. Lumpy's cooking has improved, and some nameless saint has thrown Kovacs's concertina overboard. By and large, all is well on board. Our enigmatic passenger made an appearance this afternoon. Von Arkham sauntered onto deck with a cup of tea and a plate of biscuits, not things to be found in the Revenant's galley. He must have brought them on board in his trunk, whilst whistling an ether shanty. The men were at work minding the capstan, keeping the envelope taut. He tried to get them to whistle along. They stared at him with the same befuddled look as Bromberg and I. Von Arkham greeted us jovially and then strode over to the forecastle where he gauged the wind with his finger, consulted his fob watch, turned about, smiled, and returned below deck, whistling all the while. He makes me uneasy, this capricious fool. He laughs when there is no reason to. The only type of person who does this is a mad person or someone who is hiding something. Bromberg is equally unsettled by Von Arkham, but assures me that the queer chap is harmless. I'm fairly certain he's right. The world is full of Von Arkham's ilk, idiosyncratic misfits with more money than sense who sojourn from strange place to strange place for mere amusement. They pose little threat to honest men, apart from mild annoyance. So let him enjoy his recreational condescension. We'll be rid of him by Friday morning, and all the richer for it.